Hi everybody! I am back this week just to appease the algorithm because I'm trying to keep my upload streak. I had a cold this week. I had a sore throat, I was really tired, I just did not feel like recording and talking on a YouTube video. So I did get to do a little bit of research and round up some reference images for our next character, but in the meantime I want to talk about some of the other projects I am working on in my free time. Because even though I was feeling under the weather this week, I almost never don't feel like doing art, if that makes sense. I know there's a double negative in there, but it's one of those things where even if I'm curled up on the couch in misery, I have my sketchbook there just in case I want to jot something down or do something to get my mind off of it. One of the things I've been working on is getting some physical stock for arts and craft shows. I've always had kind of a passing interest in running a booth. I've always thought, like, what if I just tried it once or twice? What if I spent some time? I know it's one of those things where you do have to have a lot of stock to be able to even make back what you paid for booth space, but I think it would be a really fun way to show my art and to see what resonates with people and to see what people like. So I'm making these wooden charms that you've seen me paint. Somebody at church actually gave me a ton of these woodcuts and asked if I could do anything with them, and I immediately thought it would be cool to make just little pretty decorative things that you can hang on the wall or maybe as a Christmas ornament. So I whipped up some designs in my sketchbook and then I started drawing them. So right here I've got a coyote that I'm actively working on, but it's got an exposed rib cage and a heart inside. I love that idea. I keep stealing it back from the rabbit. And then I've also got another coyote that's kind of visible on screen that is a similar idea but a different pose. Usually they don't take me very long to make. You're seeing me painting in real time here, and a little bit about the process in case you wanted to try it yourself because they're a lot of fun. I have liquid gesso, spelled G-E-S-S-O, but I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it right with the soft G. And that's what's used on all canvas actually to prep it for painting. So I put that down in a layer of white. You can kind of see the fish above the wooden one I'm working on right now off screen. That's just a white layer. It may look like white paint, but it's not, it's gesso. So I put that down in the outline of the design I want to put on the wood, and then I can go ahead and do the acrylic paint. I found this helps a lot when I'm working on a wooden surface to prime it with something that's not just paint, because the strokes and the texture disappear a little more. It interferes less with the design. Then I go ahead and paint, and then I'm going to Mod Podge on top of each of these because I just feel like giving it a glossy finish and giving it a layer on top of the paint adds some professionalism, adds some polish to it. I'm trying to do a spiraling pattern or a concentric circle pattern with the Mod Podge so it looks like the rings of the wood in this cross section cutout. So I kind of experimented a couple different ways to do that, to achieve that. Whether I'm moving the wooden puck around or I'm moving my hand around in a circular motion. One thing about me is that I love tedium, but I hate doing anything tedious the same way twice, basically. So that's why I'm kind of fidgeting around trying to figure out the best way to paint these concentric circles of Mod Podge over top of a finished design. I'm sure I'll still get carpal tunnel at some point, the amount of art that I work on, but I know repetitive motion is a killer on that one, so I don't know, maybe I'm avoiding it, maybe I'm not. But yeah, so I've been doing these. Eventually I will be drilling holes in the tops of them and then using like leather twine or thread as a hanger for them because I feel like anything thinner than those really thin strips of leather isn't going to match. These are pretty thick cross sections of wood and I want it to look very rustic, very folk art. I've been having a lot of fun actually picking out concepts for the craft booth and figuring out how I'm going to decorate it when I go do these craft shows. So it's been really fun all together. And you can kind of see the finished gloss and sheen of the Mod Podge on that one. The last thing I'm doing is painting some wooden beads that I had lying around. I'm thankful that I had a lot of these supplies already, just from what I've inherited or hoarded over time, because that's gonna cut down on the initial costs of the booth a little bit, just by virtue of I paid that money a long time ago and I don't remember it anymore. I don't have a ton of object permanence with crafts, unfortunately. So anyways, what I'm doing is painting these beads so that they will have colors that match the exact colors I used on the wooden discs. And then these are gonna go on the leather holders as well for the hanging. I'll paint the other half later. So that's been this video. I know it's not the 100 OCs project and probably not what people typically come to my channel for, but that's what I was working on while I was sick, and I should be back next week with an actual character. Like I said, I've been sourcing some reference images for this one already, and it's going to be a lot of fun to put together. Anyways, I'll see you next Friday. Stay healthy, stay well, and have a good week.